Really glad I can finally make this, but this is going to be a quick tutorial on how to set up the custom proportions through the animation thing that's been listed in the Discord, but there was no video tutorial for it until now. I'm going to assume you know everything else about modding. I'm not here to teach you about the other stuff. This is specifically for the animation proportions thing. Before we start, huge thank you to Dhedge for sitting with me twice now in calls to make sure I understood how this worked. Couldn't have been able to do this without you. Thank you very much. Our tutorial will begin here with this Robotnik model made by my friend Channel Pup. I was going to put it in the game for him, but the proportions were being really annoying, so here we go with custom proportions. This model is already weight painted, and it already has an armature. If your model does not have those things, you're going to want to set that up first. Again, I'm not going to teach you how to weight paint, that's not what this tutorial's for, sorry. First, we are going to import our Eggman PSK file, or whatever PSK file that you're going to be using. Right at the beginning, I like to change these two names here to Armature, because you just have to do that, that's just how it works. Now we're getting to the good stuff. So what I want you to do first is copy your new model, and then just hide it. You want to keep it as a reference for later. Then we are going to take our custom model's armature, and we are going to maneuver all of the important parts that we want to animate properly. So I'm thinking head, hands, arms, legs, stomach, nose, face, whatever. Get all that stuff, and we're going to move the bones so that they are as aligned with the original character's proportions as possible. So you can see me doing it here. I'm using both the squash and stretch tools. I am using just the movement tools. While you're doing this, you can also make sure you click the little X up there so it'll mirror your movements, so you don't need to do everything twice. And eventually, your fella's gonna start looking a little bit silly, but don't worry, it's all part of the process. Now, we're gonna leave pose mode and go back to object mode. Click our custom model, and we're gonna go to the modifiers tab where you should see an armature modifier, and you're going to click that and press Ctrl A on your keyboard to apply it to the model. Then, new modifier, armature. I know we just got rid of it, just trust me. And we are going to use the little dropper tool and select the original character's armature. So we're going to click this little thing that says armature right here. This is how it looks, and then leave that alone. Next up, we are going to be parenting our new custom model, not the armature, to the original armature. So you click these two things, which is first, my custom model, and then second, the armature of the original Eggman that we imported earlier. To accomplish this, we're going to highlight the things like I mentioned. Remember your custom model first, then click the armature, Control P, and then click the top option that says Object. Now, since your mesh is parented to the other armature, you can delete the custom one that we had before. You don't need it anymore. And from here, we are going to do basically what we did earlier by squishing Eggman into the old proportions, but we're going to, pull him back to his normal proportions. This is the reason I mentioned to make a copy of your custom model, because that way you now have the exact proportions and sizes, which means you don't need to estimate on how to put them back together the right way. You're not seeing this in the video, because I didn't think of it until afterwards, but that's why. And it should go without saying, but once you're done with the reference model and everything looks normal, delete the reference one. You don't need it, just make sure you only have the one armature with your little fella in there. So as you can see here, I've got it back to basically his regular proportions, and what we need to do is go down here to the timeline. I usually set the little start and end points over here to 1 and 3, because you only need 3 frames for this. Move the little timeline marker to the place where it says 1. You're going to select every single bone in pose mode by pressing A on the keyboard. It'll select everything. Then you will press I to create a keyframe down there. It should put a little yellow dot. Then you're going to move the cursor and click on the second keyframe, and just press I again, exact same keyframe. You can even copy and paste it if you want, but you can just go to the next part and hit I and it'll be the same. Then you're going to leave pose mode, go back to object mode. Now, if you haven't removed the original character model, you can simply go over to the list over here and delete it. Nothing will be removed from your model. Once you're back in object mode, we're going to rename your mesh to the correct file name. So for me, it's SK Eggman. Click our model again and hit Control A, and then you're going to click the button that says All Transforms. Blender part's pretty much done now, and I'm going to show you these export settings. We're going to want these to be the same as you're seeing here, and then when you go to export, make sure you export using the correct file name. Blender is all done, make sure you know where you saved your FBX file, and we're going to head over to Unreal Engine, specifically the custom Unreal Engine for CrossWorlds. If you're not using that one, then I assume this is not going to work the same. First thing you're going to do here is figure out which skeleton your character is using. For me, Eggman uses the large skeleton. A lot of the little Sonic characters use the normal skeleton, and then some characters have their own specific skeletons. I don't know which skeleton goes to every single character, so you're probably going to have to look for a list in the Discord or something. So since I'm working with Eggman here, I'm going to take the large skeleton, and we are going to put that right here into the common skeleton folder. And you're going to want to right-click here in the list and click Open in Explorer and drag your UAsset skeleton file in like that, and it should appear in Unreal if you did it correctly. Also, don't change the names or else they won't load properly. Next, we're going to put our FBX file into the correct folder. That would be, for me, Content 01 Union, Asset, Character, and then our folder is Eggman, and then inside the Eggman folder, we are putting a Mesh folder. Inside the Mesh folder, we will then drag the FBX file, and you're going to want to take a look at these settings for import. Biggest things to check for here is add the skeleton in the skeleton section. I'm going to add large skeleton here, because that's what Eggman uses. Scrolling down a bit, we're going to look for the animations, make sure you have that enabled, and you're going to want to change this to animated time instead of exported time, or the other one that I don't remember the name of. Once you're ready, you hit Import All, and everything should flood into this folder, and you should see just some weird-looking guys. Don't worry, we'll fix them. You should have a .anim file in here, and if you click it, it should look sort of like this. If this animation file is looping an animation of squash and stretch or any of the changes you made, you've made too many keyframes, you need to go back to Blender and make sure there's only 2. From here, we're going to create an animation blueprint, so we right-click on our SK Eggman skeletal mesh file, and you're going to go to the Create and Animation Blueprint. It should zip you over to where the skeleton is located, and you can just call it whatever you want. Inside this, and I can also put in the description, just copy and paste this, and hit Control-V to get this whole chart in here. What you're going to want to do as well as that is you're going to right-click in an empty space, type in Input Pose, and you're going to put this up here, connect it like this. Then you want to go down to the Sequence Player node, which should be down towards the bottom left, and you're going to click it, and then drag the animation that it should have in the list over here onto the Sequence node. Once they're all connected like you see here, you can go up to the top left and hit Compile, and you should see your guy snap back to how he's supposed to look. You're going to want to go ahead and hit Control-Shift-S to save this. And then we're going to head over to our skeletal mesh back in the characters folder. Side note, you can move the animation blueprint back into the folder with your character if you want. You can make a whole new folder for it. You just need to remember where it is, because it's going to need to be included once we start packing the files. I got a little bit ahead of myself in the footage, but you're double-clicking your skeletal mesh file, and it'll open up. You'll see your crumpled little guy still. You're going to come over here to the right, scroll down until you see this setting, and you're going to add your animation blueprint, and then your guy should snap back to his normal proportions. This is what it looks like when it works. Quick side note, if you look at your animation file, which is in the same folder most likely, it might look a little bit crazy now, but that's because it's applying that thing we just made, that animation blueprint, over the animation itself. And the animation is the thing that's making the blueprint look like that, so just don't worry about it. And we're basically done now. You're going to hit Control-A to select everything in this folder, and while still holding Control, you're going to select the physics asset and basically deselect it. We don't want that to be packaged with the mod. Click the little plus icon down there, create a collection with any name you want, and then once you're ready, you're going to right-click anywhere, I think, it doesn't really matter, and create a new data asset file. You don't have to do this if you usually cook content through this, but I use packaging, so this just makes it easier. In the new data asset file, which you can call whatever you want, you're going to want to change these 2 settings here to look like this, and then down here where it's asking about where the new content is, we're going to give it the collection that we just put all of those files in, which is going to tell it what to build into the mod. And with that, we're all done. You can hit Control-Shift-S one last time to save everything up, and then we're going to pack our content and see what happens. And if you use cook content instead, or you have to use cook content, you're going to need to go through the regular steps to use retalk and get those things packaged up again. Now, after putting these files into my mods directory and loading up CrossWorlds, we can see, if we check out the Eggman model, the custom proportions worked perfectly. I just have a little bit more weight painting to do. You can see a lot of the issues here are just because I have certain things in the wrong place, or I have my weight painting a little off. So now if we scroll over here to Eggman's alternate skin, which is currently Heavy Magician, it's a different mod I made, you can see that this Robotnik model is much larger than Heavy Magician, because Heavy Magician is using Eggman's exact proportion and sizes. Robotnik here is now successfully custom proportionized. Not a word, don't care, go make some cool stuff. I hope you have fun. And thanks again to Dhedge for making this possible.